Welcome once again to our video series covering Softdial Contact Center from Sytel. In this video, we will introduce subscripts and system fields and show how to make your script more flexible by accessing a config file to retrieve resource references such as sound file names. We'll recreate the script we used in the IVR101 video with the following updates. Read a config file and extract the sound names for the recordings. Introduce a subscript to play introductory welcome and greeting recordings. Modify the greeting to be played based on the time of day using a system field. Validating the script to check for and locate any errors. And finally, publishing the script for deployment on a campaign. As in the previous videos, we start by making a draft plan of the script flow, considering any possible failure modes, and preparing the sound resources or audio files that will be required. The draft plan of the script should set out the script flow, first in words and then diagrammatically. In this script, we will greet the caller with good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on the time of day. After the greeting, play a welcome message. Next, play the menu message, as in IVR101 video, enter 1 for sales, 2 for service. Play a message confirming the caller's response. The call will then be ended. As in the previous IVR script videos, it is advisable to draw out the script flow graphically, adding in any details not covered in the written plan. This makes it easier to spot any potential failure mechanisms and work out how to handle them in the design. For example, caller hang-ups during the session. Next, we need to prepare the sound files that will be required. In this script, there are 8 recordings required as shown. We will need to create a config file containing the sound file names and place it in the script folder. This can only be done when the script project has been created. Sound files need to meet the required format as explained in previous IVR videos. With the preparation complete, we are ready to open Scripter Designer and create a new project. We've opened a new project and named it IVR103. We'll now add the steps required to read the config file and extract the sound file names. Storing the references to the audio files in a config file means they can be updated without needing to modify and republish the script. The references provided in the config file must match the references given to the audio files when they were uploaded in Softdial repository. Here we can see the audio files that have been uploaded. They are stored in the web server Sounds folder for the current tenant. To read the config file, we use the Read Text File step. We need to enter the full name of the file, including the extension, in the file name input field. The config file has been or will be placed in the root script folder, so we can select yes in the use script root field. Now we need to create a script field in which we will save the config file after reading it. We can now set the output of the step to the config file script field. The extract XML step is used to retrieve the sound names from the config file. We set the doc field to the config file script field and use a simple XPath expression to address each element in the XML document. But first we need to create the script fields to store the outputs from this step, the sound file names. We will need to create 8 script fields. The option 3.wav file shown here is not used in this script. We'll also need a script field for the caller section later, so we'll add the chosen option field now too. We are now ready to configure the extract XML step. First, we need to confirm the XPath queries required. The XPath query for the first element is config/audiofiles/morning/text. And we follow this pattern to set all of the inputs, one for each element in the config file. Now we can assign the outputs of the step to the script fields we have set up. We're going to add a subscript to play the greeting and welcome messages. You can use subscripts to contain any reusable script blocks, but in this case it just helps to keep this design clean. To create a subscript, select New Subscript from the File menu. Notice that a new tab has been created in the designer. We'll use this to build the subscript. We'll rename the subscript to Welcome. To do this, select the Project Resources tab, bottom of the left frame. Overwrite the default subscript name, here Subscript 1, with the new name. Now we will add a decision branch step to select which greeting to play based on the current time of day, the server time. We can use the time of day system field as an input to generate the outcomes we need for the selection. An ever-increasing range of system fields provide quick access to lots of useful campaign data and functions. We now add 3 play file steps, one for each greeting based on the time of day: good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. If we switch to the Script Fields tab, we can see that there are no script fields in the subscript. Script fields are not transferred between the main script and subscripts, so we need to recreate the fields we will need in the subscript. Later you will see how to set the inputs of the subscript to populate these script fields. For now, we can set the play file inputs to the script fields we just created. The time of day system field input to the decision branch step produces the outcomes morning, afternoon, and evening. The morning outcome is triggered between 2400 and 1200. The afternoon outcome is triggered between 1200 and 1800. The evening outcome is triggered between 1800 and 2400. We'll now add the play file step and script field that will contain the welcome message name. The success outcomes of the greeting steps are connected to the welcome play file step. The exit script step exit codes are the outcomes for the subscript, so these should be chosen to be clear and distinct. Configure all of the call ended and fail step outcomes to an exit script and set a relevant exit code. For more detailed log reporting, each step or each failure type could be configured with its own exit script, step, and exit code. Script validations reveals that the default outcome of the decision branch is not configured. It should be connected to the welcome step. After correcting this error and redoing the validation, no more errors are found. Finally, we need to configure the subscript inputs and outputs. Select Set Subscript Inputs and Outputs from the Script menu. All of the script fields we created in the subscript can be configured as inputs or outputs to accept data from or pass data to the main script. In this case, we need to configure all fields as inputs, since we will be passing the sound names from the main script to the subscript. Switching back to the main script, we can see the welcome subscript that we just created in the Script Resources Subscripts list. We can drag the subscript into the main script and use it just like a regular step, connecting it to other steps and setting its inputs and outputs. The script fields we configured in the subscript appear as inputs to the subscript step. This is how data is passed between scripts and subscripts. The subscript inputs are set to the script fields containing the sound file names from the config file. Note that the outcomes of the subscript are the exit codes set in the exit script steps in the subscript. The subscript is connected to the steps around it just like a regular script step. As mentioned already, subscripts are very useful for organizing scripts which can otherwise become cluttered and difficult to maintain. In this script, we are using the play file and capture steps. In IVR101, we used play recording and capture steps. The main difference is that the play file steps support script field inputs, which we are using to store the sound names. The play recording steps require direct textual input of the sound names. The remainder of this script is identical to the one in IVR101 video, with the exception of the play file steps. We are now ready to validate the script and check for errors. Note that this cannot detect errors in script flow, but will check that all mandatory fields, inputs and outcomes have been configured. Script validation reveals that the fail outcome of the extract XML step is not configured. We'll connect it to the end call transaction step. In production, this would probably be routed to an agent queue or a backup message. After correcting the validation errors, we are now ready to publish the script following the procedure described in the IVR101 video. The script is now ready to be deployed with the IVR103 campaign. For more information on Scripter Designer or any other Softdial Contact Center product, visit Sytel.com or see the other videos in this series. Thank you for watching.